Hello, hello, wonderful Woman Up community. Happy Fierce Female Friday. It is the first Friday of Women's History Month. This is like the Super Bowl for women. This is our month, ladies. And you have been bringing it with fierce, fabulous fire with all of the challenges that are flying through. These beautiful tributes for the I Am Woman Up Challenge have been so inspiring. Thank you so much to all of you who have shared and highlighted and really done a great job of shining a light on the women in your world who make a difference for you, who help you make history. So if you haven't taken that challenge yet, all you need to do is copy that first paragraph, make sure you include the I Am Woman Up hashtag, and we will help you amplify those stories of inspiration with the world. And who doesn't want to fill their social media feed with more love versus hate? Come on now, sisters. We got this. Okay, a couple of quick updates inside the community. One is we are working to switch up the time of the book club. So the book club is the fourth Wednesday of the month, but we're looking at shifting it from 11 o'clock in Pacific time to either 8 a.m. Pacific time or 7 p.m. So we have a poll on the Facebook group. Please make sure you add in your thoughts. If you are a book lover and you attend those, let us know what works for you. Second and final update for this week is on the 17th. So in just 12 days, we have our second wisdom session of Q1 and 2021. That is all on recruiting and retention. We have Stephanie Anton with Corcoran. We have Bernadette Cole, who all of you met earlier this year from Exit. We have Krista Huffstickler, who's from Engel and Volkers, and Mona Phillips, who's from Realty One Group. So we have a very diverse group of women who have different sized organizations who are going to talk to you about recruiting and retention during COVID last year and what they're taking with them into 2021 and beyond. So you don't want to miss that. We do have the Zoom set up, so get that on your calendars, save that date, share it with those in your world who want to get better at their recruiting and retention. Okay, now for our amazing guest. So really, this woman needs no introduction. However, I do have a few things I want to share with you about her. For those of you who are connected to me on social media, you saw that Sherry was actually my Shine a Light On challenge today.
Thank you
And
so much.
you are so welcome. We go so far back. This process of shining a light on the women who make a difference has really made me feel like I've been in the room with these women because I'm scrolling through my phone. I mean, years, 60,000 photos on my phone, like scrolling through, looking for these faces. And it makes me feel like we're in the same room, even though we are almost on the exact opposite points of the country. You are now currently the president and CEO of Realogy Expansion portfolio, but that includes Better Homes and Gardens, which is where most of us met you.
Exactly.
Although you and I have Cole Baker in common too. So the
Yes, we
Realogy
do.
community, yes. You in this role, you're currently focused on guiding the strategic growth of brands within your division, but you are known in this industry as a brand builder, a lifestyle enthusiast, a fashionista, and you even have your own Pantone color called SC2011. I looked it up. So for those of you who don't know some other things, so Sherry is also on the advisory board for News Story, which is a charity focused on pioneering solutions to end global homelessness. Oh, so good. And the Wine Society, because women and wine and wisdom is the perfect triad of trouble. So we are here today because Sherry has a passion for helping all of us find ways to bring out the best in ourselves and of course in our organization. So Sherry, I'd love to start by revisiting kind of the last, say, 12 months. You started your new role as the president and CEO of Realogy Expansion Brands, and then literally, we went into a pandemic. So how is it going for you? What's happening in your world?
Well, first of all, Deborah, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. And, really connecting people and women with other women is what I've been passionate about my entire career. However, to answer your question, so in September of 2019, I expanded my role to include the ERA brand in my portfolio, which I was very, very excited about. Knew some of the brokers and agents, but not many of them, and was really looking forward to that first in-person national conference in Nashville, Tennessee, that was to take place on March 23rd, 2020. So obviously it didn't happen, and we were all very disappointed. And so that posed the challenge, the added challenge, because we were all challenged, obviously, in the early days of COVID, but the added challenge as to how to get to know my new portfolio of brokers and agents. And so, people have asked me over the years, when something like this happens, how do you change your leadership style? And Debra, you never change your leadership style. You just, you draw on everything that you know, and you just put it out there. And that's exactly what we did. And so we started over communicating, as everyone did, with all of our brokers and agents everywhere. Globally, the ERA brand is in 35 countries, and all of those countries were being hit with COVID at a different time. And so it was, it was fascinating, but also challenging. But the end, very challenging. The end result is that we ended up putting a white paper together, which all of the listeners have access to. And what we did is we talked to broker owners from both expansion brand portfolio brands, Better Homes and Gardens, Real Estate, and ERA, and gathered information on how they were managing the pandemic. And so for some of you, it might be, kind of no-brainer information, because we all did that, but there are some hidden gems in there that I'm hoping during the course of our conversation, Debra, today, that we can share. And I want to share the entire paper with everybody, because it's just good common sense advice.
I love that. Well, our community is built with women who are currently broker owners and executive leaders, but there are so many inside this community who are in the curiosity stage, right?
Yes.
And so I think that there is a lot of power in when women who are leading these large organizations take the time to share moments with us and inspire those women. And I think sometimes we really just need to see what's ahead so that we can prepare ourselves, right? And so there might be somebody who's thinking about opening their brokerage, but they're thinking about, do I wait? And you don't have to wait. Now is a great time to do it. You've got the resources here. So speaking of these different levels and layers of women in leadership we have in the community, you have had a stunning career. I know I am not alone when I say you are a role model for many women in this industry. And for a long time, it was like, who's the woman that we can point to in the C-suite? And it was only you. It really was you for so long. And now that we have so many women coming up in the ranks.
Yes.
So what advice do you have for women who are thinking, I want to be the president and CEO of a major brand someday? What do you whisper in their ear today?
My first piece of advice, Debra, is to look at yourself and everyone else in that boardroom or whatever room you're walking into as human beings first and foremost. And so if you start by, segregating yourself as a woman leader versus an overall leader, then you're going to have that on you at all times. And so that's what I did. And, I've been in this business for well over 30 years now. So when I started my leadership roles way back when, I truly was pretty well the only woman. And so I just brushed that aside and went in believing that I was the best person for the job. And that's point number 2, is that if you wake up every morning truly believing that you are the best person for the job that you are about to do that particular day, then you're going to excel at it. And so a lot of it really is around, visualizing yourself where you are today and where you want to be. And I have met so many people who practice creative visualization, and it is a very, very powerful tool. And I would tell any up and coming female executive or male executive for that matter, to practice that every day. And what it does, one of the things that it does, and you're so good at this too, Deborah, because I know that you and I think very, very much alike, but it unclutters your brain. And so you should only think about those things that you can control every day. Don't worry about the thing. We can't control COVID, but we can certainly control our environment within COVID, and we can control what we want our company to be today and in the future. We just can't control everything that the world is throwing at us.
It's so true. I'm listening to a couple of books and taking this course from a woman named Megan Watterson who is sharing these thoughts around so much of what we do is we plan for the future that we actually don't exist in our moments. And
Yes.
it's so, and this, right, I feel like this is a season where there have been people who have actually slowed down and are living in their moments and realizing that there's joy in that. And then that in turn is actually attracting that future that they basically vision cast a year or two ago, but because they've uncluttered their mind, because they're not sitting around all day, running around from thing to thing, not paying attention, like I've more walks, more time at the beach, just more time, quiet time, that
Yes.
there is a kind of a natural progression we're seeing. And I really, truly hope that people are hearing your words, Sherry, because as that light at the end of the tunnel becomes brighter and brighter, and we step into the sunshine again with each other, it will be very easy to fall back into our old ways. And
it will. And Deborah, we have to make sure that we don't. And what you're saying is so true. And, I had that experience myself this past year where I was forced because of COVID to slow down, to stop traveling, and to start thinking about what was important, both personally and professionally. And, one thing that one of my mentors told me years ago, and it always stuck with me, is that the job that you get paid for is the job that you're doing, let's say from 9 to 5, whatever your role is, if you're working for a corporation. What you do beyond that, both personally and professionally, that's what gets you ahead. And, when I sit down with team members or people who want to join my teams, and the first thing that they say is, well, I'm interested in this role, but I really want to be X, then I kind of stop the conversation, because really what you have to do is embrace the role that you're in, whether you're an entrepreneur like you, Deborah, or whether you are a corporate executive, or whether you are a manager with a company or a broker owner, whatever it is, embrace what you're doing. And that's how great things come to you, not by always thinking about the next greatest and best thing.
Yeah, and I think that goes again to what we're reminding everyone, right? To be present, to take this time, and there's a balance, I think, between the personal positive affirmations that we tell ourselves, that yes, we need to visualize and we need to feel, and this vision casting that we're doing for our careers. Right. I often teach the thought ladder with affirmations, and I think the same applies in your career, right? Where you are now is be where you are and be
Be where
fierce
you
and
are.
fabulous. Like
Absolutely.
slay that role, right? Like do your very best, believe it. And then when you feel like you are ready for that next level, or even maybe not quite ready, but you can see yourself there, go for it. Right. But don't always live in tomorrow. I love this. So
No.
good. Such great advice. Well, the pandemic itself has created a space for revisiting leadership and revisiting what real estate looks like. And I love this amazing paper that the Realogy Expansion Brands put together called Real Estate in the Time of COVID. And I know that it is action and information packed, but I'm certain you've got a couple highlights to share with us. So what do
I
you
do
have on
not.
your list?
Well, there are really 7 key takeaway points, but if I pull out a couple of them, Deborah, a couple of them, and this is what broker owners and very successful broker owners told us, and it's what we do each and every day as well, is that in this time we have to create deeper relationships with our agents, with our employees, with our friends and family, because that's what we're all craving. And so if you were a broker owner that did not do that in the past, I'm sure you are doing it now. And that is very comforting to the agents that work with you in your brokerage. And, you know, there's a saying in our industry is that an agent won't leave their home, which is where they work, unless they find a new home that's better. And so you have to make sure that agents do not find a new home that's better, that you're providing everything for them. That's one thing that really came through loud and clear. Number two is, you know, an entirely different topic, and that's around data. And, you know, what we have become much more of a data-driven business. We're forced to become more, because let's think about this. We have, you know, a drastic, you know, what we call listing shortage across the country. However, think about this. So every day, every agent and broker I talk to, I say, how's your business? Well, it's great, but we don't have any listings. So let me ask you this question, Deborah. If we don't have any listings, why and how did we make over 5.5 million sales last year? There are listings out there. Yeah, there may not be listings that are on MLS, but there are listings out there. And so one of the other takeaways from this white paper is to utilize data effectively, and you know, that to find where the listings may be and who may be the most likely people to want to move. And that property may never hit the market, so to speak, because there's a lot of off-market business being done now, but that there is an awful lot of business being done. So you know,
let's talk about that for a quick sec, Sherry, because you are so right. There's a limiting mindset around inventory. I hear it as well too. I actually was just having a great conversation with a girlfriend of mine who's on the other side of the country, who was saying, I really want to move, but there's nothing on the market. And I said, well, are there houses where you want to live?
Yeah.
She's like, what do you mean? Like, I'm like, are there actual structures that you would want to move into? And she's like, well, of course. I said, well, has your agent contacted them and asked them if they'd be interested in selling? She's like, no. Do realtors do that? I was like flabbergasted.
Of course
I thought,
we do.
absolutely. You know, I think this is a time where we're actually realizing that the magic of technology that has really beautifully enhanced this industry has kind of stunted the mindset around what actual inventory is, and that we can create it, right? Like we can write letters, we can not really knock on doors right now, but there's a lot of people out there who are living in homes that they would love to move from, but they're scared to put their house on the market during a pandemic. So I love this.
Yeah. You know, I mean, here, just a case in point personally is I live in a, you know, boutique condo kind of enclave that properties do not come up very often for sale. However, over the past 30 days, 3 condos traded hands in this building, which is significant. And that's because 3 people wanted to move. And 3 buyers bought those properties. And so we really need to, you know, and I talk about going deep with the relationship piece, but we also have to go deeper into our business and find those properties. So they're out there, there's no question. And that is something that came through loud and clear. The data is so important. And you know, the previous data as well. Look at homes that have sold in the past year and have very likely gone up in value significantly. Maybe those people are, some of them, interested in moving, but they don't know what the next step should be until one of us as realtors reaches out to them. So that's something that's new. And I think that that is going to, you know, that's going to become predominant for quite some time, because, you know, we don't see a path to a larger number of listings in the future. And just this week, I gave a keynote speech where I talked about there are 3 types of listing agents. Number 1 the $1 million listing agent, the celebrity agent. And Deborah, you may or may not know this, but these celebrity agents, unnamed, are actually going around the country to the hot spots and listing properties there and selling properties. So they're going where the business is. They're not waiting for their market to pick up. So they're going, and of course they're celebrities, so they're getting business. So that's number one. Number two are agents that just happen to get a listing because their cousin is selling, or they might get a call from a past client. That's number two. And number three are agents that get up each and every morning and say, what activities am I going to do today to help me get a saleable listing or 2 saleable listings? And I want to be in the number 3 group. And I want all of our agents and all of the people that I know in the industry to be in that number 3 group, because that's where you're going to experience extreme success.
I love that. I love the 3 categories.
I know.
And maybe my cousin sells.
It was one of my 3 a.m. Oh, that's
yes. The witching hour has the best ideas. 3 a.m. is the best hour.
Yep.
I love that. Okay, so what is a way that we can look at really stepping into that third person, that third type of agent? Like how do our brokers help their agents see that in themselves?
The broker owners do that through training, through holding agents accountable. It's really strange, but we may not admit it, but we all want to be held accountable. We do, because accountability is, the definition of accountability is noticing without judgment. It's helping someone actually do the job that they're supposed to do. And so if broker owners are, having accountability workshops with agents, and even groups of agents can do it with each other, that really helps you get out and achieve your goals and surpass your goals. That's one way. The other way is that broker owners can manage the data for their agents. There's so much available now. I mean, there's an unlimited source of data through the MLSs, through the third party providers of information. There's just so much data out there. And so brokers should manage that data and actually manage leads. I had dinner with a broker owner last night. Her name is Jackie Soto.
We know Jackie. We saw the photos.
I know.
All of us were in envy.
I know. So we had, and here's a little story about Jackie. So, and this is something that, this is the difference between somebody who wakes up every morning, goes, oh, what am I going to do today? To someone who wakes up and says, I'm going to do something. So about 2 weeks ago, Jackie texted me. And so she said, if I come to Palm Beach, will you see me? And I texted back and I said, of course, but it's a long flight because she's in LA. Yeah. And so she said, I don't care. I just need to see people and talk. And so I said, absolutely. So then I called some other friends in the area. Jackie flew in on 2 flights, one a red eye, staying at a hotel here, had dinner with her last night, going to spend time with her on Saturday, looking at her business. There is a woman who isn't waiting for, anyone to hand her anything. And so, right?
Amen. You know what? Sarah and I were actually just having this conversation about how sometimes it feels like we're focused on the people who aren't raising their hands. Like, oh, we don't want to hurt their feelings because they're not getting highlighted or chosen. But the reality is that it's not like you're sitting on your phone going, I'm going to call a bunch of people up. Jackie stood up, spoke out, and said, hey, can I participate? This is where the ask comes into play, ladies. Those of you who are listening, the ask is so important. The people whose photos are flying through the feed with Sherry are asking her to share time with them.
Absolutely.
Okay, and this is an important thing. It's so important.
I learned from her last night as well. She shared some of the ways that she's doing business in a different way around lead generation and data. And it was fascinating, actually. And so there's a success story. But, let me suggest something to you, Deborah, and I think you'll agree with me, is that I have people say to me, wow, like you are, your profile is, is strong within our industry. And that doesn't happen by chance. That happens as a result of a lot of hard work where, I'm not going to call you and say, hey, can I be on your podcast? Can I be on your Friday afternoon show? But what I can do is call you and say, we did something really interesting. It's a white paper that I'd like to share with women everywhere.
Yeah.
And as such, you have me on your show.
Yes.
So think about that, ladies, because it really is up to you. And everything that you do is up to you. Agree, Deborah?
I agree. And that's a really great point. I'd forgotten actually that you messaged me and said, hey, I've got something I want to share with you. And I mean, we've had countless conversations, both online and offline. And it's of course I want to have you on to have a conversation about it. However, I don't always know what's going on. And so that is such a beautiful point. It's on all sides. Sometimes we think that we're on other people's radar, and we really aren't. It's not that they're not loved. It's just we're all moving a million miles a minute. So us raising our hand and asking is so key. Oh, that's such a beautiful share. Thank you so much, Sherry. I love it. Okay, so I want to get to at least a couple more of the highlights from the white paper. So we ended, the last one was the 3 different kinds of folks from your 3 a.m. moment. Where are we on your list?
Okay, so if we take another one, and it's woven into the white paper, but it's something that I firmly believe in, is that we talked about living in the moment. Yes. And we talked about the importance of doing that right now, but it's also very important to have short-term goals and long-term goals. And so that came through loud and clear with the brokers that we talked to. So think about this. We don't know what the next 6 months is going to bring. I mean, we could believe that the market will continue with the strength that it has over the past several months. I believe that there is, another wave of buyers out there, that there were the, early movers that said, I'm moving, in April, forget it, I'm moving. And they moved and we facilitated them. And now there are the methodical thinkers who are going to move in the months to come. And some people will move back to where they originally came from because they realized they made a mistake. So we have to make sure that we're not just living in the moment, that we're actually planning for the future as well. And I think it's important to plan for, the inevitable downturn in the market, and not just be saying to yourself, whoa, like this is incredible. And, it is very busy right now and we're breaking a lot of records, but it's not always going to be that way.
Right. Well, here in the Seattle area, and I know in a lot of metro areas, there are a lot of people who kind of flocked away from the city again. We have this accordion effect. It feels like, we build these McMansions out in the mountains, and everyone goes out there and then says, oh my God, gas is $5 a gallon. I got to move back into the city. There's always something pulling them back and forth. And so you're absolutely right. Like thinking a few steps ahead, what are their needs going to be in the coming months is such brilliant advice. I love that.
Yes, because, it's not like, as an example, we last year all acknowledged that the Manhattan market was not as busy as it normally would have been. And a lot of people were either temporarily or permanently exiting that market. Well, it's very, very busy right now. So that's either people coming back or people who are saying, I want to live in Manhattan. And so that shift took place rather quickly, didn't it?
Yes.
It wasn't a matter of years, it was a matter of months. And so now what I'm seeing through our numbers and through our various brands that, do business in Manhattan is that it is busy again in all price ranges. So things change quickly, and without any notification. We normally don't get notified.
Right.
Right.
Where there's no crystal ball, there really isn't. But we
Mhm.
do have intuition, and I feel like the women and the men inside this community are very, very good at seeing what's coming. I think we just need to remind each other to believe that intuition, to trust
Yeah.
it. And so what if you think something's going to happen and it doesn't? Who cares? Like you took a risk, you tried something different. Like be brave, be brave, be out of your
I
comfort zone.
I agree, absolutely. And so, Deborah, another piece of this white paper is around recruiting. And I think that was one of the topics that you wanted to talk about, correct?
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
that's the theme for this month. So in 2021, we put a topic on each month that the community took a poll late last year and said, these are the things that I want to learn more of. And so recruiting and retention was in the top 12 on that list. And so I loved it. I mean, hello. You are in this industry, you are known as building these beautifully attractive companies. And by attractive, I don't only mean they're beautiful, but they have an attraction platform built in. People want to be part of your organizations. Oh, and they stay. So, shower us with the wisdom that you learned in the report, and then, whatever else might be on your mind to sprinkle.
Well, recruiting, and when I was in the brokerage business before doing what I'm doing now, I loved recruiting because it's fun, and it's very rewarding. And it's also how you successfully grow your business. So if you look at a brokerage business, we look at our broker owners growing in several different ways. One is by finding, mergers and acquisitions to roll into their businesses, where that's a piece of recruiting, but it's a little bit bigger. The other is by organic growth recruiting. The other is by helping agents increase their per agent productivity. And so those are things that we concentrate on. But when we look at organic growth and recruiting, you need to create an environment that is very, very pleasing. And with us, with human nature, and I'm going to guess that everyone listening will agree with me on this, is that the little things count. The little things count. So if you send a, cookbook or some type of gift to someone, they're going to remember it. If you send an ERA gift and it has red and blue ribbon on it, they're going to remember it. And so these are things that help you recruit. A lot of it is in the detail, and it's the same with retention as well. And so I see so many brokers do it well. I've seen brokers in the past not do it so well, where they're not successful recruiters. And so it's easy, culture is an overused word, and we all talk about culture, but a lot of people don't realize, like, what is it? And it's very, very hard to describe.
Yes.
So, how do you describe culture in one sentence? Every company has a different culture, and some cultures are bad. Because they lack that camaraderie. And so building a company that is authentic, that stands for something, where the broker owner and the support team actually exceed the agent's expectations and provide them with the little things that count, that's where you build a successful company.
Well, and I'm hearing you say it's the touches, right? It's the cookbook. If they're a Better Homes and Gardens real estate agent, sending a BHG cookbook means something. Like there's a connection there. And I think that you actually did a post on Instagram a while back with this vintage cookbook. It's probably 2 years ago, but it feels like yesterday.
I did.
And I think there was like 10 or 12 of us who also did the same thing. Like we started tagging you, like, oh my gosh, I have my great grandma's book. That is powerful.
I love that. And that was fantastic. And so that was just a really collaborative moment and a cultural moment for all of us. And I still, I put out, this was 3 or 4 years ago, where I put out on Facebook, anyone who DMs me, I will send you, the latest edition of the cookbook. And I had all of these people, some people I had no idea who they were, but because you have followers too, but we got them all out to everyone. And so that was a moment where, that's exceeding customers' expectations. As a broker owner, your agent is your customer. And so exceeding it. We just sent out completely unsolicited. We sent out earbuds because we're having the ERA virtual conference next week to brokers. And so they got the branded earbuds with a message and opened it up, layers, and surprise and delight them. And now they're more likely to plug in and listen to the event. So, stuff like that.
I love this. Well, it reminds me of like Tiffany McQuaid's Boo Box that she sends out like around the holidays. What Molly's creating with intentionalities and red tail.
Oh, Molly is, I love Molly's
experiences. Yes. It's the things we normally do plus the creativity of creating adding the details that mean something to you. I think that is so beautiful. Okay. So before we go, of course, we're going to get everyone a link to this report so you can read through all of the things, but we've had you on the Woman Upstage a few times now, and we know you love technology. We know you are a futurist in a lot of ways, where you try things out before we even know what's going on. And so what during the pandemic did you really plug into as far as technology? What should our community take a look at as they're building out 2021's tech?
Wow, that's a good question. So, first of all, from, a social media perspective, just make sure that, during the pandemic and today, and we're not through it yet, but we're getting there, more and more people are visiting social sites. So make sure you have relevant information, eye-catching information, where somebody's going to stop and take a look and go, wow, that's interesting. Of course, Clubhouse is launched, and we are, and I am over the next couple of weeks, I'll announce it here, and it'll be on our Facebook and Instagram pages. I'm going to start holding some podcasts, and Debra, you're on the list of, so it'll be a role reversal. Yay, but we're going to try that out, and for success and sharing, because a lot of people are drawn to that right now. But let's go to your actual devices. So it's nothing earth-shattering. However, right now I'm standing in my kitchen, and so I have a stand that goes up and down. And so I can sit with it, I can stand with it. And I have all of my equipment, which I'm not using right now because I don't need to, but I've got, my lighting. I have different backgrounds that I can put up, because I think we've all learned that the virtual backgrounds are not perfect. If you move your hand or something, you can see your bed behind you. Right?
Yes, exactly.
So that doesn't work. But I, have invested in, I have an iPad stand, two phones that are on stands. And so I've got my command central, and I can move it anywhere in my home. Yeah. And so it works for me. And that is, that's not groundbreaking at all, but as we continue, and of course you've worked from home for a long time, so you have an office setup. I choose to be, more mobile, because I'm used to traveling, and I just like to be, in different places. So I think that's now I can only be in different places in my home. But that is,
hey, whatever works, right? To fill that sense of adventure. I do have a quick tip for Clubhouse. For those of you who are out there, I've done many, many shows now. The most important thing for you, have an Instagram account that is active. Yes. And also make sure you have a link, even if you're using like Linktree, that has a list of links for ways for people to get in touch with you, because Clubhouse has Nada when it comes to
Yeah.
direct messaging, finding out really more about you. They have no live links inside their profiles except for Twitter and Instagram. And let's just be real. Most people who are in Clubhouse are more Instagramming than tweeting.
Yes. So
So yeah.
I agree with you. And so, yes, so make your social, choose what you are, most comfortable using. For me, I love Instagram. So, my edgier pictures will be on Instagram if there is such a thing. They're not that edgy. Then Facebook, I have two accounts. I have a business account and a personal, but most of my posting is on my personal. And then on Twitter, I use Twitter, from time to time. And then LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the forgotten social tool. So like, if you post things that are relevant on LinkedIn, when I posted this white paper, there was a lot of activity around it. So people are looking for things on LinkedIn. So I guess, Debra, my one piece of advice, around this topic is don't neglect your LinkedIn account.
So good. Well, and I think Katie Lance is either still here or was here earlier. And I know that she's done a couple of kind of updated classes and conversations around LinkedIn as well, because they have actually expanded what they offer on there too. Now they have kind of like the story
They
concept.
do, which is great.
Yes. And for those of you who are participating in the I Am Woman Up challenge, LinkedIn is an excellent place to be posting those Women's History Month posts that we're talking about,
Absolutely.
that shine a light, because it really does. I get a lot of engagement on those posts, and it's not always in the stream. I'm getting direct messages saying, tell me more about this. What is this?
Exactly.
What's around? I mean, I've been there for 10 years, but there
Yes.
you can hit a nerve. And so I love that advice. I think that's
You
so
know what,
great.
you hit a nerve, you're right. And here's one last thing that I've been doing is, on your phone and of course in Facebook, the memories come up.
Yeah.
And so what I've been doing is when they're coming up on my phone, I just forward them. I text it to, I did a few this morning to a few brokers, and there were fun memories from like 5, 6 years ago, and just said, this popped up, it made me think of you. It's just something like that that puts a smile on your face and makes you feel better throughout the day on both sides.
Yeah, so good. That's such great advice. And it really does like connect the red threads around the retention piece. That's a
It does.
beautiful way. Like retention is recruiting and retention are very have a lot of masculine energy around them. And so if we think about it like attraction and connection, which are two words that
Yes.
are very popular in our community, like retention really is around connecting. It's around creating that connection. And I think that's a simple way for everyone to take a step forward tomorrow while you're sipping your cup of coffee in the morning. Go through your memories, send it to some of your agents, some of the leaders in your organizations. Do it. You do it.
It's
Do it.
wonderful. It's wonderful. And yes.
All
So
right.
just
I love it.
do, and you know what? Final thing on recruiting that just popped into my head is that we like to call recruiting talent attraction. And
Yes.
so rather than, because recruiting does have, could have a more, negative connotation, but attracting talent is a very positive way. So, the words that you use in your vocabulary are very important. And with that, we may be out of time.
Yes, yes, we have about 30 seconds. Any last minute love that you want to say? Anything, any final
Well,
words of
yes.
wisdom? Yeah, of course.
So I want to throw some love out, first of all, to you, Debra, for everything that you do for our industry and for women in our industry. You're such an incredible advocate and a great friend for many years. So thank you. And I really want to shout out to all of the women out there for Women's History Month. Just, thank you. Thank you for virtually hugging all of us. And it's just so meaningful and important. And so that's how I want to end.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for everyone else who is here with us today, who took out time to share. If you've got questions or anything you want to ask Sherry, make sure you drop them in the comments. We'll make sure to get them to her and get you the responses. We're so excited for the weekend ahead. Have a great time, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Mwah.
Bye.
Thanks, Deborah. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank
Bye.
you.